How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today it's just a bit of a quick one. There's a few bits of gameplay in that, and there's also a tip that somebody in the comments very kindly mentioned. It's to do with the TUZ16 and the bumpers, so I'll get into that in a minute. I've been messing around doing quite a few different things tonight. I've been testing out the cranes because they seem too weak, but then I was originally messing around with something different earlier, and I managed to, I don't know, it just got me onto like, I want to retest the cranes. I've tested them for 3 different nights now, not like recently. I did like a good hour or two earlier. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was testing them for a good couple of hours, and then about a month or two ago I was testing them, and you can tell like they keep sort of fiddling with them and adjusting them, whether it's on purpose or it's kind of by proxy of an update they do or whatever. I don't know. I don't know coding really or anything like that. I kind of get the basic principle, but that's about it. Other than that, I don't have a clue. But yeah, I just can't really get any consistent results with them. Like, they definitely feel underpowered, particularly the big crane. I can kind of live with the little crane not really being able to handle much more than cargo, because even then it's sketchy. It can't even lift a lot of stuff unless you're like fully retracted back. But anyway, I've been testing them. I've not been getting any great results. I wasn't too happy with it, and yeah, I just wanted to make a little bit of a shorter video and just tell you a couple of things. I took the P16 out, and if anyone knows this area of Smithville Dam, you have to drive quite a few things over here, and I was pretty surprised and happy with how well the P16 just drove through all this boggy mud. Like, it's a better truck than you'd think, considering it's rear wheel drive. So anyway, this is again just a little quick bit of messing before I get into the TUZ16 details. But I was lifting the Transstar. Sometimes it'd lift just fine, other times it struggled to get it off the floor, but then if you jiggle the crane around a little bit, it'd start to go. So I was having a look, and I was like, well, I remember doing the old emergency deployment loaf. This was genuinely first go. I just thought, well, I'll give it a go. I was like, well, that was easy. Truck loaded. Let's go. Nearly fucked it. Nearly stuck a winch on that post. And then it wrecked it anyway. I couldn't attach a winch to it while I was just driving. I was having too much of a good time. But I was pretty happy with the situation. What the hell is that? Okay, well, I don't know why that bit of clip has got its own theme tune, but anyway, sorry about that. I've just muted it. Basically, it's to do with these bumpers. As I said yesterday in the video, and that when you click onto the scaffold bumper and then equip the tool beacons, you remove your own bumper, and then you can leave the garage, and then when you recover, the bumper's back. However, somebody very kindly mentioned in the comments, like, every time that happens, you get a free stock bumper, and as you can see, I've got a load of them accumulated in, yeah, where it says stock bumpers. I had like 32 or whatever it was. I think it was 28 when I originally looked, and then I tested it out, and as you can see, yeah, they keep going up. I can sell them. They're worth £600 or dollars. I'm selling a load of them now, so every 10 is £6,000. I was testing it out. By the way, I'm just going to point out, one, I couldn't care less anyway, because it's a single player game and do whatever you like. Secondly, people on PC seem to just be able to mod the amount of money they have to 9999999 anyway. And lastly, this game has stole over £250,000 worth of trucks off me, so I'm getting about £6,000 in free bumpers. Yeah, that was basically it. Like, do the thing where you add the scaffold bumper, put the tool beacons on, and then instead of like leaving the garage and then recovering it, I was just then retaining the vehicle, unretaining the vehicle, like selecting it straight away again, going back to customization options, and then yeah, every time you do that, it's got an extra bumper on it, or well, there's an extra bumper in like where it says the list of bumpers, and as you can see, at some point, yeah, I had like 32 odd bumpers or whatever it was, and well, there's just over £18,000 worth. So 28 times is how many times I've de-equipped the front bumper, but I didn't realise I was getting a free bumper every time. Yeah, so I wanted to mention it. I appreciate, thanks to Caveman from the future. He's the guy who let me know. I don't honestly know how long it would have took me to notice. Possibly at some point I would have realised I've got like 60 bumpers, but I don't know, just because I was so autopilot just selecting the next bumper. that I never even noticed. So yeah, I appreciate it. It's worth knowing. There's basically a way for some of you guys, especially if you've had trucks stolen off you. I tried it, and I'd say it takes around, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds per 600 quid. You can certainly do getting on for 6 grand a minute, so I would say it's quicker than any other contest, and it's basically just clicking a load of buttons while you're in the garage. So yeah, for anyone who wants to do it, treat yourself, go to town on it, buy every truck every truck you want. And lastly, it was just a bit of gameplay. I was actually cleaning some trailers up. Well, I say cleaning some trailers up. I attempted to, I managed one, I wanted to leave the other one there. So yeah, of course, bring the dolphin and loaf. I'm on Smithfield Dam. It's basically, I had a few missions that I hadn't actually like ever selected, so I couldn't just look through them and look at the details of them. I was about to drive, I was about to reverse and follow the road, and just at the last second I seen this tree. It was like, your mine tree. Damn, some of them apples. Yeah, I'm on my way. I believe it's called Michigan Trail or something. I'm not actually doing the missions, I just wanted to do a little lap of the map. Yeah, grab all the ones, because they've got that new menu in the menu where it says like task giver, and it lists all the contests and stuff, which I like that idea, but you can never click any details on them, which maybe makes sense with the missions, as it'd kind of inform you like before you set off what you'd need to do. But yeah, it doesn't tell you any contest details or anything. It'd be nice if it gave a bit more info, and because I'd never selected these missions before, I actually believe I had with one of them, well, but whatever, it's not on there anymore. So yeah, I just went back round, grabbed a few of them. So it's just a little bit of gameplay to finish it off. And while it's playing, I'll tell you another story about that old boss I used to work for that was a bit of a maniac, and it was sort of funny. It was one of them where I only worked for him for 5 weeks. I was originally trying to save up for my driving licence, start doing that, but between like the alcoholic nature of some of the people I stayed with and so on, I got paid on Fridays, I was skint on Mondays, and there was apparently some pubs and things involved in between. So I've been told, I can't really remember. But yeah, I was driving along in the loaf earlier, driving along like this, the loaf nearly flew out the sideboard. It just reminded me of something, again, when I was working for this guy. So this time we had a job. It was basically a pretty wealthy guy, had a nice house like up in sort of like the hills and that, and on the side of this mountain he had a well that fed water to his house, and then it went through a filtration system, and that's how he got his water. And for whatever reason, the well or something was blocked, so we got the job to sort it. And this is just what I mean with this guy. Like, he has no concept of like business or how much money's coming in, etc. So yeah, he takes the job. We get there. It's the arse end of nowhere on the side of essentially a mountain that's covered in snow. It's like -8 degrees or something ridiculous. The ground is completely frozen solid, and yet we've got the job to dig about 8 feet down and find this pipe. For some reason, this guy decided that this specific spot we dig in, even though there's about 1,200 feet of pipe between the well and the house, apparently this is where the blockage is. So yeah, we said in the morning, like, the ground's frozen, we've got to dig about 8 feet. I reckon it'd just be easier than paying us to like an entire day's wages to just get a mini digger. And he's like, nah, we'll have it done in no time. So we had these bloody pickaxing away at this ground through hardcore. It was like a hardcore whacker plated yard sort of thing that, yeah, we had to chisel through with pickaxes. So about 5 or 6 hours in at least, probably a little bit more, we're about like, I don't know, 10 foot in the ground by now, and we're starting to say, yeah, like, I'm telling you, I really don't think there's a pipe here. I think you've got the wrong spot or something. So he goes over, gets his bloody thing out the van, has a look. He's got this, I don't even know what to call it. It'd be an insult to call it like anything. I mean, and this is nothing against 4-year-olds, but it's something you would stick on the fridge and say, well done. But he had this drawing of the yard. It was basically a square with an X in it. It looked like a treasure map on his shitter. And yet, somehow, he'd managed to read it upside down or something. So this X that's slightly off-centre to a square is like we're in the wrong, not corner, it was like not far off the centre, but we were at the wrong bit digging this hole. So yeah, 6 to 8 hours with pickaxes, chiseling frozen ground out, and he's got the wrong bloody place. So then we start digging the next hole, which we said, yeah, I think we should get a mini digger. And he's like, nah, we'll be good. We only carried on for about another 2 or 3 hours, and then he finally realised, okay, maybe we should get a mini digger. So we went and, well, he went and got this mini digger, came back, started digging the hole. Finally, about 10 hours in, we found this 1 foot section of pipe. It was just a piece of blue plastic pipe. There was nothing special about it. We looked at it and we were like, yep, there's no damage on this 1 foot of pipe out of all 1,200 feet. Now what shall we do? So the next idea was to drive up to the well. So me and this guy Steve got in this Toyota Hilux, started going up the mountain. Steve said to me, oh, put your foot down, like I want to get, funny enough, being alcoholic natured, he said I want to get home before the pub's shut. And again, this was now about, I don't know, 7, 8 at night. We'd started at about 7, half 7. We set off at 7, started work about 7:30. Anyway, I started driving a bit faster through this field. Suddenly we hit this jump, and there was some sheep on the other side. And he said to me, can you put your foot down? There's not any sheep in here or anything. Yeah, I put my foot down a bit, only going about 30, but we hit this like bump where there must have been an old hedge and a little ditch and blah blah blah. We got a bit of air, nothing special. And this sheep, I genuinely, like, I wish I could somehow transport memories to video, because this sheep was eating grass, and in slow motion, I swear, I seen it look at me, or probably look at the Hilux to be fair, and you could almost tell its face went to like, oh shit. And then it looked back straight in front of it, and then it did the most graceful sheep dive I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was massive as well at the time. Like, it hadn't just been sheared, it was like a giant ball of wool with little legs. And then, yeah, it did this dive out of the way of this Hilux. Thankfully, because I would have been bloody mortified if I'd just nailed a sheep for no apparent reason. That's, I mean, we'll leave that to the Welsh. So, yeah, nearly nailed a sheep on my way up the mountain. Got to this well. I don't know what we were supposed to do when we looked in the well, but we looked in the well. And yeah, when we had a look, we basically said to him, look, there's no blockage here or anything. The best thing you can do is get a generator and we'll blow some compressed air down the pipeline, and whatever's blocking it, if there's some mud or silt in there, we'll basically blow it right out the other side of the pipe. So he starts going, oh yeah, I know a mate who's got a generator that's needs a bit of work and all this. And it's like, dude, why do you have to, like, this is the same thing with that bloody digger thing he bought that was like from the 1960s. Yeah, we're trying to convince him for about half an hour, like, this is how he doesn't get business. He's got one job that he needs a generator for an hour, but instead of just renting a generator for an hour, he starts thinking, I know, I'll buy a generator, but I won't be stupid and buy a new working generator. I'll buy a 50-year-old generator that's probably steam powered and is in the arse end of someone's barn that's now going to take us 4 days to get the fucking thing out of there. Like, that's just he just had no common sense to him. Like, say this digger, he drove it into a house and it fell on top of him, and it took 8 minutes, if that. And it's like, that's all he needed to do was rent a digger if he was just going to drive it straight into a house. But fortunately, this guy Steve, who I was working with, was a bit of an angry dude, to be honest, and he used to go mad at this guy. And he went mad at him. He's like, you're getting a goddamn generator, you're renting one, I ain't dragging someone's shit out of field. It's like now about 9 at night or whatever. And yeah, so eventually we got him to kind of compromise, and he said, I'll borrow one off a mate. So we went off to get this generator, came back about half an hour later, towed it up to where we were, next to the well, and then it had no diesel in it. And it's like, oh, for Christ's sake. Fortunately, the guy who owned the place had, like, it was a bit of a yard sort of thing near his house we were at, and he had some diesel. So we ended up using that. We finally got the generator going, stuck a compressor line on this pipe that was like, yeah, the well, blew whatever silt and shit was out of there, and we were finally done. That's all we needed to do if he had just not decided to start digging up half this man's driveway. But anyway, the next morning we had to take this mini digger back, and as he was, like I said, he was like a 12-year-old, and he always had to show off. And because I was quite new there and quite young, I think he thought it was quite cool just doing things to as if he was like impressing me or something. And yeah, while we were towing this mini digger back that was on its own trailer, there was a mini roundabout, which, if any of you guys don't really get much in America, but it's like a circle painted on the floor, but it's got a good bump to it, like the paint's pretty raised up off the floor, and it's just like a mini roundabout that you drive round. But yeah, it's just sort of painted on the floor. And he decided to go straight over one instead of going around it because he was trying to show off to me. And he hit this mini roundabout at, again, about 60 mile an hour or something stupid. And this mini digger behind us, honestly, like, I don't know how much air it got, but it must have come a few feet off the trailer, and it slammed back down and smashed all this trailer up. And you're driving like I am now. And honestly, by the time we got back to this rental place, the people there were just looking like, how on earth have you managed to squash a trailer with a mini digger that's built to take a mini digger like that? It only had one job, and he'd managed to annihilate it. And yeah, I think they were more impressed on how he'd managed it. But he basically fucked the trailer, so he had to replace the trailer, and that's just what it was like working with him. Everything was just like some crazy mad mess where it's like, in the end, after that, me and my brother ended up doing our own landscape gardening business, because it's like, fucking hell, I can risk my own life, I don't need to get paid by the hour by you. And yeah, so that's what happened. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, thanks for watching. I'm going to be back soon, I'm going to do a Fleet Star review, hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, that's it for today, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.